Welcome to the user's manual to the Intuitionary, the world's best dictionary. Once you reach the main interface of the Intuitionary, you'll probably see this screen where you find English permanently frozen to the left of the dictionary, of the spreadsheet. And the other languages can be accessed. They may vary from time to time, but they can be accessed by scrolling horizontally. You can align any language with English. Let's suppose French and English like this. They are aligned here, as you can see. And then you can learn your favorite languages. If you want to align specifically many languages to each other, a specific arrangement for all or most languages, you have to email the owner and specifically ask for your personal version of the Intuitionary to be produced. A link will be provided to you. Another important feature is the filter. You can filter the 2000 most basic, most commonly used words in all languages by clicking the 2000 basic words filter on the menu. Therefore, you can focus on, if you want to focus on the basic words, if you want to focus on the more frequently used words, which is very interesting for people who are beginners or intermediate learners. You'll see that the words in the Intuitionary are arranged thematically. The first categories are the grammatical categories. Pronouns, quantifiers, you see conjunctions, adverbs and prepositions, numerals, and then we reach the main adjectives. The adjectives are arranged in an interesting way. They are typically arranged not only in opposites, but also in derivations. For example, we have big, which is right there, followed immediately by its derivations. Big, the noun enlargement or an increase, the verb to enlarge, to increase, in both its transitive and intransitive versions. That's another thing that the dictionary distinguishes very well, is transitivity, which is very important in a number of languages. We'll talk about that later. So right after big, there is, and its derivations, there is also the abstract word size and the adjective small. And then once again, you have small, you have its verbs and derivations: to reduce, to get smaller, to shrink, to diminish, reduction, a decrease, to shrivel. Examples of usages in sentences, such as the world is shrinking, shrinkage. And then you have other similar words in meaning, such as great, greatness, magnitude, huge, and tiny, which are gradations of the concepts of big and small. And then you reach good, good, better, best, well, to improve, improvement, sentences, goodness, kindness, quality, bad, worse, lousy, crappy, hideous, horrible, terrible, benevolent, kind, benevolence, kindness. So the adjectives are always arranged in a very derivational, oppositional way. So we find the derivations of the concept of the adjectives and their opposites, always arranged next to each other. You here see high, its derivations: height, elevation, to lift, to raise. And then you find low, and then you find lower, inferior, superiority, to lower, hot, warm, heat. And then as you move on, you find cold, coldness, to cool down, to get cold, to freeze, thin and fat, obese, thick, dense, flat, flattened, convex, concave, smooth, rough, delicate, round. So all the concepts are arranged in opposites and in derivations. That's the adjective part. If you move on, you will eventually find the verb section. Here we go to the verbs, the main verbs in a language, starting with the verb to be, there to be, being, existence, to lack, to become, to be present, to have to, the modal verbs, and then the verbs of desire, wish, need, the verb to know, to recognize, It's always the same. The verbs are arranged in a similar way to the adjectives. You find that the verb, if there's an opposite or a gradation of the meaning of the verb, you'll find it immediately. So you find here to know, knowledge, unknown, to find out, to recognize, to ignore, to guess, a puzzle, to make, to do, to carry out, realization, implementation. So you find the derivations of the verbs and their opposites, always arranged together, always grouped together. So that's the spirit of the dictionary. The words are always arranged with their opposites and their derivations and gradations, always grouped in what I call thematic modules. To act, to interact, action, active, proactive, passive, deed, interact, interaction, interactive, to like, to love, preference, to fall in love with, to adore, to worship, to please, to hate, hateful, hate speech, to admire, to enjoy, to get along, to disdain, contempt, to despise, deplorable, reprehensible, to go, to come, to arrive, to reach, the arrival, a step, to step on, to trample, to stampede, to crawl, to creep, to crouch, to squat, to run, to race, to escape, a fugitive, a refuge, to take refuge, to dodge, to evade, wonder, swimming, swimmer, always arranged in the most intuitive, derivational, logical, learning-friendly way. That's a few thousand verbs. There's maybe a few hundred words here in the verb section, a few hundred verbs. But if you include the derivations and the gradations of the verbs, the several related words, is a few thousand words. Then you move to the first non-grammatical category: human body and health. Parts of the human body and health-related issues, concepts. Body, bodily, organ, head, to be had, to decapitate, the forehead, a bump in the forehead, at the top of the head, the scalp, the skull, the temple, the face, how to say face to face, the cheek, ear, big-eared, inner ear, eardrum, eye, eyelid, eyelash, eyebrow, cross-eyed, one-eyed, short-sighted, dark circle under the eyes or coon eyes, a stye, which is the inflammation of the eyelid, a myopia or short-sightedness, pupil, dilated pupil, the cornea, an eye patch, a blindfolded, and with the naked eye. Arm, with open arms. You see that I didn't just put the parts of the body there. All the expressions and phrases and adjectives and related concepts that can be used in associations with parts of the body are there. So we have the word arm right there. We have the word arm, and immediately, how do you say with open arms? So that's in a friendly way, in an open and friendly way. So you immediately find the equivalent in all the languages. And that's how it goes. So you find several other categories. You find here the animals, food, plants, materials, geometrical forms, textures, consistencies, technology, computers, legislation, human world, the city, the war, you name it. You just have fun and look for the word. The best way to find a word is using the search function, okay? Control F. You just use Control F to find a word and find it. You don't have to worry too much about the category, because those large categories, such as parts of the body and abstract concepts, they're actually pretty large, and many words don't fit very well into categories. So the best way to navigate through the dictionary is using individual in the individual search for words. Search for a specific word, find it, and have fun exploring the words that are immediately below it or above it. Now we go to specific languages. Here you find that in the frozen first line, where you find the name of the languages, you have in the American English section, a guideline for all languages, using explaining the symbols and acronyms and abbreviations used in the dictionary. you find the most distinctive abbreviation system, most distinctive symbols used for the Intuitionary are the bigger than and smaller than symbols. These two arrows that you find right here, the arrow pointing forward and the arrow pointing backwards, are used to indicate a transitive verb and an intransitive verb respectively. That is very important in a number of languages. For example, in Russian, let's look for the word to wake up in English. Okay, to wake up, find it here. You can find it that in Russian, the word for waking up, if it's a transitive verb, is completely different from its counterpart in the intransitive sense. To wake up transitively, it's to wake somebody up. So wake him up. You have sentences here showing this. Here you have wake him up is different from, notice that Russian also has the transliteration. Transliterated Russian is also included. So you see that budit and prabudit is the verb for waking somebody up. And prasipatia, prasnutia is the verb for waking yourself up. Like, I woke up early. Ja сегодня рано проснулся. But I have to wake him up. I have to wake up the children. Должен разбудить детей. So all of these details have been gathered by me and included in the dictionary. They are precious information, precious nuggets of information that vary according to language. It's something that most dictionaries do not point out very accurately. I've gone out of my way to actually collect each of these details in each of the languages to make sure that the proper transitivity and other grammatical details, such as grammatical case, prepositional usage, all of this is accurately described for every language. Sometimes if something is too specific to a language, it won't be in there won't be an equivalent in English, so it's included in these pop-up windows, these white pop-up windows that we see here. For example, this verb has no imperfective, something which is pretty unusual in Russian. Notice that in the Slavic languages, verbs appear in perfective and imperfective forms. So I always include both forms in the Intuitionary. Typically, the imperfective form comes before, and then I put a dash, and after the dash, the perfective form. If there's no imperfective or if there's no perfective form of a verb, a null void symbol, which is this crossed zero symbol, will appear to indicate the absence of a form. So here I explain specifically that there is no imperfective form for this verb. And most other cells also have other pop-up windows to give you any kind of information, such as here, if I do not confuse this verb with the other similar looking verbs. And a few other even words that are not in the dictionary are included here. In addition to the main dictionary, these white pop-up windows contain more words, more details, and a lot of tips and hints on how to acquire vocabulary properly and how to avoid pitfalls and meaning. All sorts of hints and additional information that can fit very well in the dictionary are added to these white pop-up windows that you find in the cells that have a black corner on the top right corner, including derivation, the derivation of words, which is very important. You see that the conjugation of verbs, whenever it's irregular, the conjugations of verbs are given sometimes in the main cell of the word, such as here you have the German word brechen and the irregular forms given in parentheses. Sometimes the irregular forms are given in the white pop-up windows. Other languages have specific acronyms and other peculiarities that are explained in the individual name of the language. Here, clicking on the green cell on the top of the dictionary that contains the name of the language, you find a pop-up window that gives you all the specific information for you to understand the acronyms and symbols used specifically for that language. Here, Croatian, for example, and then you find Italian. There's all the instructions for you to specifically use the Italian part of the dictionary, and it goes on and on. In Greek, also there is everything here indicated for you to enjoy, fully enjoy the detailed Intuitionary. Adding Chinese as well, it'll be very cool. And then there'll be Arabic, Japanese, and Latin in 2022. So just stick around and have fun. If there's any other doubt, please let me know.